Good morning, all. Very little view. It's getting to be 5 a.m., I guess. I'm in the, whatever it's called, ICU room, recovery, hospital recovery, post-surgery room, I don't know, in the hospital. That's the sound of me trying to hydrate my mouth so I can talk, which sometimes is followed by coughing, or the sound of me suctioning. They just finished a bunch of stuff with me. I understand that perhaps it won't be for another half hour or hour before they need to come in, so we might be uninterrupted. Anyway, we had a bit of a leak, and so based on what I've seen here, I said, maybe just grab a few of the baby wipes, and I'll do my part, you do your part, and keep things sanitary, which I think would have been adequate. I keep seeing them, so I'm sure they're nearby, even though I can't see them from the bed. And then the nurse is like, I could get warm soapy washcloths. And I said, oh yeah. So she just came in a minute later with 3 or 4. And I just kind of dropped them on my forehead on purpose. Figured they gotta sit somewhere. And I'll enjoy that. And then Peel went off to clean my hands so that I'm not that's me hiccuping there, sorry. I understand it's good for my bowels, so I can't control it though. So anyway, I used one washcloth to clean my hands, and so I'm not, spreading contamination. And then she looked at me like, how many did I give you? I was like, I think 4, 3. And where are they? They're on my forehead. I was like, did you want some of these? I didn't know. I was gonna steal all of them. I just didn't know what was happening. So anyway, she used 1 or 2 to do what she needed, what she could reach and clean. I was still left with 1. And I'm telling you, just this simple, raw pleasure of the warm washcloth, the weight of it, the texture, the temperature, the obviously apparent use of it, this means comfort and cleanliness. And so it was emotional. I wanted to be present for that, honor that, actually experience it. And I'm sure those of you listening have I don't know the brand names for anything, but I'm fancy shower head and fancy shower marble and a seat in your shower and fancy dispensers and shelves and skylights and in-shower audio. I don't know. Instant hot water and special filtered water. And I'm sure you got all that stuff going on. And man, how nice to have a nice shower. I mean, how nice to have indoor plumbing. And you can perhaps every day have that luxury of the shower, maybe with the steam option or something. I mean, man, that's great. But even being a little bit uncomfortable, I'm like sick in the hospital, but just a little uncomfortable. It's a little bit of work in your day, or you walked a little far in the heat, or had a bit of a rich workout. You got a washcloth. Perhaps it's cool, perhaps it's warm, perhaps it's soapy or scented or oiled or, it's dipped in lemon water. I don't know. But applying that to the skin. So we're going to visualize the practice of hand washing ourselves. And I'd like to point out that when we imagine washing ourselves, it's very, very, very easy to make your approach about to put the washcloth there, and that area has some grime, or is always dirty, or always needs an extra scrub, perhaps for physical reasons, perhaps for emotional, perhaps previous trauma, perhaps, society has told you in all its many ways how that area is by nature shameful or worrisome or vulnerable or not in need of your attention. And so, you probably hear my voice come back after I hydrate. I'm not sipping anything either. So it's very easy to think about what this washcloth will take away. But what I'd like to do is shift our preference to what each washcloth finding the skin brings. It brings weight. It brings presence. It brings moisture. It brings keys to release. These keys to release open doorways into many different realms. So bringing keys to release. So let's just imagine ourselves in a sacred place, perhaps a rainforest, perhaps a temple entrance, perhaps our kitchen, perhaps the seaside, and we're sat upon a stone as the salty foam rolls in. Perhaps we're sitting in the snow. And our washcloth will pick up something more solid than not. And for you, maybe that washcloth is very specific. A certain cotton or a certain knit, so it has a certain texture or weight or color. Maybe it's more of a sponge for you. It can really take whatever form. But we're gonna dip it in our solution, the snow. The sea, the rain puddle, the essential oil prepared basin, perhaps. And allow that washcloth to take up what it takes up. So we release our grip a bit. And we'll release in our minds. We release and feel it receive. And then we lift from the basin, perhaps in thanks or appreciation, but certainly in presence, feeling the weight, feeling what medicine this weight is. And maybe you're just letting it drip so it gets to be the appropriate dampness. Perhaps it's appropriate to give a little squeeze. None of this is wrong. There's no right way. We just want to be present and then sincere in our actions through presence. And then we bring the washcloth to the body, or maybe it's passing through incense or candlelight or song, and maybe it's just passing from your kitchen sink to your calf, dripping on the floor the way you dare your children not to. In any case, where does the washcloth go first? And if we don't overthink it, it might go to a habitual place first. Or it may also go, in this case, to a place that normally wouldn't be where it goes first for you, but for whatever weird reason, the first connection to the self is the right ribs. Which side of the body does it find? Does it find the underside of part of the body or the top of some part of the body? But at any rate, the washcloth and what it brings themselves, bring themselves to the physical being. And do we move the washcloth? I think for many of us, we reflexively move it. We're taught to scrub and, get as much out of this washcloth and its contents, its warmth or soap or whatever. They're kind of immediately, how much can I get out of this? Can I get my whole arm washed before I have to wash, recharge it? But be interested here to see if you can not just perform the reflexive and ritualistic, but just let it come to the body. And maybe it does want to move. It's fine. Maybe it wants to move towards the earth. Maybe it wants to move towards your heart. Thank you for the stars, by the way. It shows me, I guess, to people, tip, I guess, or share thanks by stars. Hopefully on your end it's easy to do. Thank you. And so, if we move, where does it move to? Is it always distal? Is it a circular kind of movement? Or is it stroke after stroke? Slightly changing their reach? There aren't wrong answers here. But it is possible to do something like this. It is possible to do something like this, but really be driven by ritual and impresence. And certainly, the washcloth is likely to help things leave. But our work here is to see what we can bring to the being through the washcloth. Let's try that again. And the washcloth lifts from the body. And thanks the body like a bow, or a grand awareness that's available to us. So we mark that where we can. So we return to our original source of replenishment, recharging, our fancy scented basin, our sink, our rain puddle, our forest, cenote, our seaside, saltiness, and we lay the washcloth in and our actors of release. When we release our hands, but we don't release so much that we disconnect. We might, imagine the washcloth just getting pulled away by a current. But we also don't want to strangle it out of its life and strangle it out of a healthful relationship with us. So we find some balance of how much can I help it stay connected without too much this, too much that. And so we feel it soak up. But what is it that it soaks up? Is it possibilities? Is it densities? Textures? Is it flavors? Scents? Is it temperatures? Or is it some combination that you never need to know? And then we lift it from its source of replenishment. And perhaps we linger with joyous patience and let it drip until it's the appropriate amount. For many of us, we reflexively squeeze here, which might be appropriate. May not be, I don't know. But if we don't examine choices that are conscious, and we let them become reflexively ritualistic, as sort of a semi-conscious, a habitual, and we don't really get to experience a life that is conscious. As we feel that it's appropriate, we move the cloth to the body, and we notice where we moved or where we are moving to. And as this is a visualization, it may not really be the body that we're washing. What part of the being does the cloth move to? And then we make contact with the cloth, its texture and all that it brings. We make contact with our relationship to the washcloth and our relationship to this portion of ourself. And in making that contact, we recognize now there's contact. We consider, will there be movement? And if there will be movement, it's fantastic. there won't be music, if there won't be movements, that's fantastic. If there are movements of the washcloths, are they rhythmic? Do they have much pressure? Do you appreciate the pressure of really just what the washcloth has brought? If it's to move, we move in conscious, sincere purposefulness, perhaps coordinating elements of ourselves to do the movement, such as body, breath, and brain. Maybe you have ever-growing circles. Maybe you have clockwise circles. Maybe you prefer an oval. Maybe a fan shape. Maybe always toward the earth. Maybe always away from the center. I don't know. But in time, this washes over. And so we lift. We come away from the being with the washcloth. And perhaps this is a moment of introspection or self-scanning or checking in or gratefulness, or for me it's like a bow and beginning a separation of two things, two modes, two realms, two parts, whatever. And so I might bow, and so there might be thoughts or acts of thanks, or gifts to leave, or experiences to integrate, whatever it might be. Allow yourself, if you would, a few moments. And then the washcloth gets hung somewhere. Maybe to stay dry, to become dry. Maybe to stay moist. Don't know. So this practice can be done literally as washing the potty. And it can be done as a potent visualization of how we bring things to the being from a meditation point of view. So I certainly expect you might appreciate it. This takes a lot out of me in the hospital, but I'm finding it might be something I can teach, is to steal a few minutes when I think there's no interruption and try and get some lesson out. It's probably imperfect and certainly nothing for you to see. There's probably a few sort of beeping machines, I guess that might be able to be seen. But at any rate, love, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for specifically sharing it with somebody you think would click for them. And thank you for sending me stars, whatever exactly that means on Facebook, but apparently it's a tip. And I'm sure once I get out of the hospital, the challenges will be different. I love Om Shanti. Thank you all.